Hey, folks, welcome to the Accessible Hunter Podcast. I'm Greg Trainer, along with my co host, Mike Cutson. We're really glad that you're joining us today. We got a special guest coming back on for a second time, Allen Bublitz, and we're going to be talking with Allen in just a little bit. But, Mike, what's happening in South Carolina, man?
Oh man, just living the dream. It's always something, man. You know, these spinal cord injuries, most people, they have no clue all the stuff you and I face on a daily basis, man. Just to be able to get on podcasts, but even to get into the woods, it's like, man, it's uphill battle every day.
Man, I sympathize with you. I know you got a lot going on right now with wound care, and you and I have been battling these pressure wounds for years. It's 3 years for me, and I know it's been quite a while for you. And I have kidney stones this week, so that's always a joy. And it's always something, dude. You're right. It seems like archery season is about to start here in PA. October 4th is my opener, and I'm trying to get ready and shoot my bow and everything. And I'm kind of down and out with kidney stones passing in the last couple of days. But what else is going on with you? You getting progress done on your well?
Yeah, man. So everything's done with the well. What we're going to end up doing is right now we're going to run a generator. We got everything dedicated lines. We've got a pump in that can handle 55 gallons a minute, sustained, so we'll be able to get that processing and go. We've got two different fishing teams that are working with us right now, building some PVC fish attractants. So they're using 6x4 pallets, plastic pallets, and then they'll screw Plex to it. And so that'll give habitat for the smaller fish, and then hence we'll be able to have a lot of bigger fish in play. But yeah, a lot of new changes coming about. We've got to go this weekend, and we'll get a big generator so we can just run it nonstop.
When you're talking about fish and what you're going to stock the pond with, Mike, what type of fish are you mainly going to be thinking about?
You know, we're looking for stuff that people with paralysis or people with a little hand dexterity can really have a good time catching. Nothing that's going to overwhelm, but you still want to fight. You know, you want to challenge. So, talking to DNR, we're looking at bass, brim, catfish, and tilapia. And the tilapia kind of threw me off. But they're saying, you know, that's the best feeding fish right now for them because all they do is procreate, breed, move on. And so that will hopefully keep our bass from eating all the brim.
I've definitely eaten a lot of tilapia in my life, and
Yeah, me too.
if you're lucky enough to catch one, that's a good meal for somebody too, and
Uh,
you get a bonus out of that.
That's what I'm looking forward to, man. So we're setting everything up down there to be able to catch a lot of fish and have fish fries.
Dude, that's awesome. Alan, what's going on in Missouri this morning, buddy?
Nothing much. Just excited to hop on here with you guys and talk.
Well, Alan, man, we truly appreciate you. You're always a ray of sunshine, always smiling and ready to go. How's the weather over your way?
It's cloudy and we had some rain yesterday. It's 67 degrees here right now, so it's a break from the 86 to 90s,
Yeah.
which I'm definitely looking forward to.
Dude, I'm glad to get a rain here in Pennsylvania. We went about 2 weeks without any rain at all, and we had some work done down at the farm and wanted to put in grass and things. So this last couple of days, my wife put in a bunch of grass seed and we covered it with straw and everything. And the last 2 days it's been raining, and today it raining as well. So we were real thankful on the timing on all that. And it's been a dry couple of weeks here in Pennsylvania, so I'm thankful for the rain. And I know a lot of parts of the country need some rain.
We've had a dry couple weeks here up until recently, and man, we needed it.
Yeah, we've been dry right now too. It looks like it's slated for us for the next 2 or 3 days, but yeah, I'm like you guys. We haven't had rain in 2 or 3 weeks. Nothing substantial.
We're certainly thankful for it. And talking about getting ready for archery season, Alan, how do you prepare for the season, man? What's your process like for getting ready for archery season?
My process is I pull my bow out, make sure if the string needs to be waxed, needs to be replaced, if the slides need to be waxed, everything's maintenance because when I get out in the field, I don't I want to limit the amount of things that could go wrong.
Absolutely. Preparation always comes with success. And if we take care of our equipment takes care of us.
Exactly. Alan, what type of crossbow are you shooting?
I shoot a Parker, and they're not in business anymore. It's my first crossbow I ever had, and it's a great bow. I'm super accurate with it, and another thing that comes with preparation is I don't care how proficient you think you are with a weapon. When you put it away, always take a couple shots before season starts, because as guys, as outdoor enthusiasts in a wheelchair, we're not the ones that have to go in and track the deer. So we want to make the best shot possible. So the people that go in and track for us have the easiest job possible.
Man, you speak with a lot of wisdom there. My thing is always check your weapon. Anything could have happened when it was put up. And we want to be ethical hunters. We don't want an animal suffering on our account. And it only takes a few minutes to get out there and pop a couple rounds or throw a couple bolts through it and just check it.
And you're having
Did,
fun at the same time too. So
Exactly.
it's not really work when you look at it as just going out and having fun.
did you mention Parker? That was one of my very first crossbows was a Parker. And then I went to the Parker Buckbuster. I don't know if you guys remember that crossbow or
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
but Parker made a heck of a crossbow for a long time. And I know they're accurate. I'm glad you're using it. And Mike, I know that you have a lot of different types of crossbows. And what's kind of your experience with different brands, Mike?
Man, I've tried a bunch of different ones, and mine's always in the cocking mechanism because it's so difficult with quad hands. Some of the new cranks I can even operate myself, and I'm looking for something that just gives us ease. But I'm still right now shooting my Wicked Ridge. I like it. It's
Mhm.
got a good cock assist. It's not the fastest on the market, but it is accurate. We set ours the other day at 55 yards. It's about an inch and a half high. And so, I would much rather take a 35, 40 yard shot, but I want to be able, if he's out there, go ahead and wing it out.
Yes, sir. Last few years, I've been really lucky. The deer that I have harvested are all under 20 yards mostly. It's just
Hmm.
how I get set up and where I think that shot's going to be. But you're always, thinking, what if that big buck is out there at 40 yards?
Mm-hmm.
Am I set up? Am I comfortable taking that shot? And I know when I'm practicing a lot, I like to start at 20 yards and
Yeah.
go out to 30, go out to 40, and then I always end at 20 yards on a good confident shot that I know where I'm hitting and my confidence level's high.
Alan, when you're setting your bow, what's the distances you adjust to?
I Same thing as Greg. I set up at 20 yards, take 3 shots at 20 yards, in 30 yards and 40, all the way up to 50 if I can. I I ideally want the deer in 20 to 30 yard range. That's
Hmm.
the yardage I feel most comfortable with, but I always practice further beyond that, because if I get the shot and feel comfortable, I'll take it.
With these new bows, man, these things are always super accurate, super fast, and it just seems like that's the go-to. Everybody's making them just a little quicker, a little lighter. But I'm still, like I said, that heavy Wicked Ridge just feels right.
That that
Yeah.
wicked that wicked ridge is really nice, Mike. My brother just bought one last year,
Mm.
and I've always used 10 point, and of course, Wicked Ridge is made by 10 point
Hmm.
here in Ohio, and I don't think you can get a better bow for the money with the Wicked Ridge.
No. And just being able to do through the Cabela's grants, we tried a couple different. We still got a couple others that we want to try to set that we haven't tinkered with. But technology's making such a change that these scopes, even for crossbows, are getting where you've got a lot of adjustability.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, Alan, the last time that we talked with you, you were talking about a different way to practice and how you could practice indoors with a system called the AccuBow. Is that right?
Yep.
And do you want to tell the folks a little bit? Well, first, for the folks that don't know you, Alan, do you want to tell a little bit about your disability and now how you shoot?
Yes. My name's Allen Bublitz. I'm 22 years old. I am the owner of Perseverance Outdoors. I was born, I contracted RSV when I was 3 months old, and that's what ended up with me in a wheelchair. And I have cerebral palsy, and I am not able to walk, but I'm able to wheel. So
That's right, brother. That's right.
You
and
always make it. He's got that smile, man. It's just contagious, and he jumps right back into the answers and going. But yeah, you're right, man. It all it is a different way to mobile around, and you always make it look good, Alan. But tell us a little bit more about this AccuBow.
AccuBow is a virtual archery training system that is made to shoot indoors, and you can shoot it outdoors too. It's actually set up on a dry fire system, which is really weird to get used to because you're not used you you shouldn't dry fire a bow, but this one you can. And what it does is you take your cell phone and you clamp it on the end of the bow, and you look through a scope deal, and you can actually broadcast it to your TV via the screen mirroring feature on your phones and stuff. And they have different simulations that you can run as far as hog hunting, deer hunting, and stuff. And I tell you what, it definitely works on your trigger pull. I've noticed that has gotten progressively better, and it forces you to use strategy, and you have to be physically active with it.
I noticed whenever you were reviewing it, you have a nice video on your YouTube channel on it, Alan, and we'll put a link to that in the podcast. But it comes with its own crossbow, and it looks like a pretty high quality setup that it's almost simulating hunting. You put it in your adaptive mount on your wheelchair, and I watched you in your living room on your big screen TV. You're moving left and right. You're going up and down. You're actually simulating a lot of the hunting scenarios, and you could do that in your living room, and it doesn't have any bolt coming out of it. There's no chance of shooting your TV or anything like that. But it just seems like it mimics a lot of the hunting scenarios that you would have to really do.
Boy, boy, it does, and I would highly encourage if people are looking to get their whole family into archery and getting them active, and also having fun. The AccuBow is a great way to do that. They're great. They're also a really great company to deal with. I can't say enough good things about them, and it it definitely brings stuff up to the table that I didn't know I had. So you kind of have to foreshadow and think, okay, deer comes out this way. I need to spin around, hold my bow up, and then once I get it in range, pull my bow down and get on it as fast as possible.
That's awesome, man, that it puts you in these different scenarios so that you can interact with it. It just gives you an opportunity to prep and hopefully, the way Greg and I do, I'm sure Alan, you do this similar. When we get in the blind, we try to get into a position that's most advantageous for the animal to come out. So we don't have a lot of left right movements just because it's hard as a quad for me to transition left and right. But this system, it seems like it's going to be one of those that kind of put you in those scenarios. So now you know your limitations plus, advantages on movement.
Yes.
When I was growing up, Alan, and first started archery hunting, we had kind of a video system. I don't know, Mike, if
Hmm.
you've ever remembered
Yeah.
that, but it was always so much fun to be able to shoot my actual bow, just using these little reflective dots you put on it, you screwed onto
Right.
the end of your arrow. But what I got out of that was what Alan's talking about, that you get to shoot multiple animals and you have to wait for that angle. Whereas, you're getting years of actual hunting experience, albeit, uh, you know, video hunting experience, but you're getting a lot of interactions with waiting on an animal to turn properly, and you're getting multiple shots where in the past, you had to rely on your hunting experience, and you
Hmm.
may only get one shot a year at a deer, and
Yeah.
heck, you're getting 25 shots in a afternoon, Alan.
Yes. And I will say another thing about the AccuBow that it has really helped me. It really helps me work on my fundamentals, like staying down and having to track a deer through the trees and really waiting for it to stop. And once it stops, making sure you got a clean shot, and it shows a clear picture of the vitals so you can actually see, you can actually move your screen around so you can see where you hit the animal and stuff, and you can also do target shooting. So it's a pretty neat system.
Sounds like it, man. Heck, well, all we need to do now is just sit in the living room, stay warm and dry. If we could just, have some venison or whatever delivered to the house, it'll be all right. We'll just shoot on the simulated systems and have a good time.
No,
Yeah.
no way, brother. I'm getting back out my blind. I'm trying to get away from TVs. My next question to Alan was, well, you make me laugh. My next question to Alan was about what percentage do you think is your practice with AccuBow and then your Parker? Like, is it 50-50 that you're doing it inside? And then how does that relate to actual shooting your crossbow? Has it improved your shots this season?
I would say that AccuBow has my percentage of using my Parker versus this. I would say so about 50-50. With the hot weather here. It really it's a delicate balance of going outside and sweating versus being able to sit in the house and work on this stuff. And I'm definitely looking forward to the cooler weather because you can actually get out and you can actually see if your practice has translated.
Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, my USB drive started dinging. I don't know if y'all heard that translating through your side.
No, it was crystal clear, buddy. No worries on that. Um, Alan, when does your archery season start? Is it started already?
It started September 15th.
Have you been out yet?
I had I have not. We still need to clear shooting lanes, make sure our heaters are all good. Um, I always take time, and my parents do too, to make sure, when we get in the blind where I'm gonna be hunting, I'm at the right window height.
Yeah.
I know how to unlatch the windows if I need to do it myself. I can pull the window up and make sure I can fire the heater if I need to, and all the stuff that I'm always gonna have somebody with me, but it's always good to have me
Right.
experience that stuff in case I need to do it in a hurry. Do it in a hurry.
Heck yeah, heck
You
yeah.
spoke of heaters. What type of heater do you normally run, Alan?
Mister Buddy,
Yeah.
or Mister Heater Big Buddy.
Man, man, that's what I'm using too, Alan. I've been
Yeah.
using that the last 10 years or so. And uh, when I first heard about using the heater in a blind, I thought, man, I'm archery hunting. These deer are gonna smell this heater. It makes a little bit of noise, and everything. And I've really I won't go hunting without it whenever it's cold anymore,
Uh,
because they make such a difference in being able to stay out there and be comfortable. I think it's worth a little bit of extra noise and set in a ground blind, especially.
I can't. I I don't know if I can hunt without a heater or not nowadays. With not being able to get up and walk around and move, my legs are good. It makes it nice to have that heater in there.
yeah. Do you find that you stiffen up during the winter seasons? Um, to me, I always do if I'm not using something that's heated, or I have to wear such bulky clothes that I can't get an accurate shot, especially behind a crossbow.
Yep.
I find I stiffen up a little bit, but not bad. I do have an easy stander. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's a
Mhm.
machine that can stand you up, and I try to stand in that as much as possible. We
Yeah.
actually found one that on Facebook Marketplace. Now I have two, so I can keep one up at deer camp, so I'm not missing out on my stretching time after 6+ hours in a blind.
That, that's awesome, dude. I also get really stiff when my arms start to pull up whenever I get cold. And heck,
Hmm.
I've been out in the field where my wife has had to drive my wheelchair back because my arms pulled up, into my chest. I was not able to extend my right arm to drive my wheelchair and get back to the van and get heated up. So that's been years ago, and I don't want to go back to that being cold again. It's just really not necessary, and it's not safe. And you don't have to prove how tough you are staying out there in 12-degree weather whenever you can run a heater in a blind and be comfortable.
Hmm.
And when you're cold like that and stiff, I kind of worry about when the shot presents itself. If a shot presents itself being stiff like that, it brings up the question: am I able to make the most ethical shot on this deer?
Yes, sir.
Right. You bring up a lot of good points as you always do. If you were to give some tips to new archery individuals with a disability, without a disability, what would your tips be?
Always pull your gear out weeks before the season starts, and even months. Make sure it's in tip top shape, and there is going to be times where you're going to be shooting and stuff's not going to go right, and you just have to stick with it.
Mm.
You guys are talking about, tips and planning and things. So I'm gonna surprise both of you and ask you some questions, and you can answer on camera and give your best hunting advice from Alan and Mike today. All right, Alan, camouflage or black clothing in a ground blind?
Camouflage all the way, man.
Mike, same question. Black or
You,
camo?
I've gotten to where I'm going. This stuff's getting so expensive. I'm getting cheaper in my old age, and so I love to be camouflaged out, right? But our blinds now are so blacked out. Now I'm just going to anything dark, just a silhouette.
Dude, I'm right there with you. I'm buying black sweatshirts and black jackets. I'm off the camouflage train. When I get in that ground blind, if I'm wearing all black and have a black face wrap, I almost disappear. And I find that if I'm wearing camouflage, I kind of stick out like a sore thumb, through that window. So maybe we can convince Alan to buy a cheap black jacket and give that a try.
I've tried black, and I had nothing against black. I love camo.
He said he looks better in camouflage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I look better in the dark. I'll stick with that. Next question, boys, and this has caused a lot of fights around a Thanksgiving table. What broadheads are you boys using? Alan,
Rage fixed.
I'm with Alan right there. I'm using a Rage fixed. Nothing against mechanical. I'm just always leery that something might occur. Fixed blade, I know exactly what it's doing, and they're just to me they're a lot easier to get out of some of these targets.
oh, I, I'm against you guys. I'm doing the mechanical. I've always shot mechanicals out of my um, crossbow. I did shoot fixed blades one year, and I didn't really like how they flew a lot for me.
Mhm.
So I'm a mechanical guy, but if you make a good shot and you're close and you're shooting within your abilities, I think the broadhead debate is blown way out of proportion as long as you're accurate and you make a good shot and know where you're shooting through that deer, not
Yep.
just your impact, but the exit wound. where that shot's going to go and know your deer anatomy. I think any good broadhead that people want to use is probably the right way to go.
Absolutely. And I got a question for you, Greg. If you got a quick sec, have you
Sure.
ever had a problem with the mechanicals not opening up?
Not to my knowledge, Alan. I've shot a lot of different brands of mechanicals over the years, and I've never had a mechanical not open on a target or a deer. I think the probability of that blade not opening is so small. I'm sure guys have that happen, but I think a lot of times when somebody says, "It's the broadhead," the broadhead didn't open, the broadhead didn't do its job. Man, you can kill them with a rock if you hit them right. I mean,
Right.
Native
Yep.
Americans been killing with arrowheads all throughout history. So I think it's a lot has to do with shot placement and not shooting out at ranges that you're not comfortable with, because there's a lot of difference between shooting a target at your range and shooting at an animal that is ducking and moving and turning. And it takes a lot to be an archer. And it's different on the archery range than a hunting situation.
So
Absolutely.
here's a question for you guys. Do you brush your blinds in, or you just put them out, let them stay, and let the animals get used to them?
Greg, I'll let you take this one first.
Well, I've done both, Mike. I've actually had this one ground blind out since April. I put it out
Yeah.
for spring turkey season, and it's a camouflage baronet blind, and
Yeah.
I've got some brush around it that's naturally growing, so I didn't brush it in. But I just bought a new tide weave blind, one
Yeah.
of the you're able to see 270 degrees through it, and I am going to brush it in this weekend, just because I haven't had it out long enough. So I think if you're going to let a blind out and you have the ability to brush it in, I think it's a great idea. I don't think you're going to hurt anything. If you're popping up a blind just for that hunt and you know putting it up and taking it down, like if you're hunting on public land and places that you can't leave a blind, which we used to use a lot of the Amera step hunting
Yeah.
blinds, the doghouse pop up blinds.
Yeah.
And my wife and I would just go out, pop it up where I was going to hunt, and then at the end of the hunt, take it down and put it back in the bag and go home. So we didn't brush in those blinds, but I think if you've got the hunting property and you're able to brush in your blind, it's probably a good idea.
We hunt out of a lot of hard sided blinds. My dad custom built them. I have hunted out of soft sided blinds, but the way I sit, those two crossbars that hold the blind up would sit right in front of me and kind of block my view.
Yeah.
And the soft sided blinds hold no heat in, so it got colder faster. So that's just what we use, and we have our own property, so we're able to leave them be year round. My dad did paint the outside green, and the inside, um, on one of them we are gonna paint or do something with it, because my dad can be walking up on the blind I hunt in and can see my bright white face sticking out. Get sore
Yeah,
thumb.
you definitely need to wear some type of face covering, and believe it or not, even something on your hands. I've had them pick up hand movement a lot, but uh, it's all in personal preference. Next question, boys. What do you put on the floor of your ground blind? Do you just have dirt on it, or do you put plywood or rubber horse mats, or what do you use on the ground?
Fire away, Alan.
Well, I we started out just solid wood floors, but we dropped shells. We dropped a coffee cup, and it sounds like a shotgun going off in there. So what we did a few years ago is we put rubber matting down so it's soft, it's nice and quiet, and you can, if you accidentally drop just about anything, it quiets it down a little bit, and they don't tend to look up.
Yeah, we ended up doing the same thing. So if we're using just a ground blind, I sometimes take a piece of just plywood, put it down, and then put the rubberized matting over the top. Gives me a little bit of traction. I can turn a little easier in my chair and not spin. But in like our elevated wooden deer stands that we have, we ended up taking shingles and putting them up the ramp so I can get traction. And then the same thing, just rubber over the top of the wood.
It's a good idea with the shingles, Mike. I never thought about that. That's better than the sticky tape, and it's the same thing. I imagine you get the grit that you can get a little traction on your wheels. I decided to use the horse mats from Tractor Supply this
Yeah.
year, and the only thing I'm concerned about that is when my wheels or my tracks are wet. If
Hmm.
I'm gonna spin a little bit on that rubber, I'll let you guys know how that works out this year for me. But I'm going with the rubber horse stall mats this year.
They've done good for us in the past. They got that little ridge in the middle of it, and we got so much weight on these chairs that they usually do pretty good.
Right, right. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I got bees in my ground blind now this year.
Ooh.
Since I had let it out so long, I was informed this weekend that bees have taken up residence in my ground blind. So this weekend, fortunately, my wife's a beekeeper, so she's gonna suit up and go in and get this little infestation out of my ground blind before I start hunting out of it this week.
Yeah, we have a problem with that. Usually it's yellow jackets or hornets.
I, I,
So we
so
have to go and clear them out every year. That's one of the tasks. Usually about a month before hunting season, we'll get in and make sure all the blinds are cleared.
That's what these are, Mikey's yellow jackets. And she said, "Baby, I'll put on my suit and go in and get those this weekend. Don't worry about it." So I'm leaving it up to her. She's the bee master.
You got a good one there, man, because most people don't want to fool with yellow jackets or hornets. They just stay ornery all the time.
She was up at the one hive. We've got three hives set up on the property, Mike, and two of them are really pretty docile bees. But
Yeah.
this one hive is always ticked off about something, and she got stung on the hand this weekend on her trigger finger, and
Huh.
the next day, man, it swelled up like you wouldn't believe. And this one hive, they're always kind of cantankerous and nasty. And I told her, I said, if these guys don't make it over the winter, if this hive doesn't survive, I'm not going to be that upset. We'll replace that queen and get a different set of bees in there because I guess they're just a little bit nasty temperament. This certain hive that we have.
Alan, do you do anything natural wise like bees? I know me and my wife, we took a master bee class and being able to talk about bringing them in and getting natural honey and all that. Do you guys do anything on your properties that has natural entails like that?
No, we haven't done anything with natural stuff. We don't do anything with bees. I have a couple friends that do stuff with bees, and we always get honey from them. And kind of like Greg was saying, it depends on the hive. Some hives can be calm, but other ones can be a real pain.
Yeah.
Do you put out any clover or any food plots or anything nutritional for the deer, Alan?
We put out clover last year, but we didn't get enough rain for it to take, and unfortunately, it's been so the weather's been so mixed down here. We didn't get a food plot put in this year, so we're just gonna mow that food plot down, and it's got a bunch of weeds and grass in it, and hopefully, whatever clover's left that's still up, they come down and eat the grass. But
We put out a bunch of clover at the beginning of the month, but with no rain, it really hasn't taken off. I'm thinking I'm going to put some more out. Uh, maybe this weekend or the following weekend, and maybe it'll just come up in the spring or what have you. But I do like to put out, clover and natural growing plants. And Mike, before we got on air, you were talking about you had some nice buck eating what was it, Mike? The
Persimmons.
persimmon trees.
Yeah.
You want to tell that story real quick?
Yeah, I was showing my godson. He just moved here from Ohio. Showing him some different fruits and vegetables we have on the property, and I said, have you ever seen these? And they were persimmons. And within the next hour or two, we went in the house, come back out to let our dog out and shine a light down through there. And sure enough, there was a buck standing up right along the fence on his back hooves, eating the persimmons that were still in the tree. Um, it's one of those things. If you can find something naturally in habitat and sit on that, you're more likely to see some animals. And I'll give you guys for instance. I had an old guy tell me because we have a terrible time, especially this time of year, with mosquitoes and gnats. And so they started planting citronella plants around where they're hunting at. Puts off a good smell, but it also drives those mosquitoes away. So I kind of want to try that and see if it'll help so I don't have to run the thermocell as much.
I never even thought about planting that, Mike. That would be a good idea. And I don't know, is that not only good for the mosquitoes, but do certain animals eat that or not?
I'm really not sure. I was doing it just because I got tired of being a pincushion.
Yep.
Got that sweet meat, so they're always attacking me. And it just makes it rough early in the spring to try to get in a blind
Yep.
and, have a not just try to sit still. You can't sit still when you're being swarmed like that. So we're going to try some of the citronella. And then that way it'll help us a little bit not run the thermocell as much.
I'm definitely going to see if that'll grow in our zone up here, Mike. Because if you could be natural about it, that's always better. And the deer and turkey and everything will get used to that smell as well. And I have used the thermocell in the past, especially during spring turkey season, uh, and early fall before we get any frost. We certainly have mosquitoes up this way. Um, that's a good tip. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. It's crazy. You would think in the really colder climates you wouldn't have as many mosquitoes. But my brother living in Alaska, I know that's not the fact. They get super cold in Alaska. And if you don't have a mosquito net early spring, summer in Alaska, you'll get toted off.
My brother Tom is retired Air Force, and
Mm.
he was stationed at K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base in Michigan for a number of years. And when I graduated high school, I went up and helped him build a cabin on some property he had built. And I had never seen mosquitoes as bad as that northern peninsula. I mean, these mosquitoes would literally eat you alive in minutes. And of course, we didn't have thermocells back then. We sprayed down with so much DEET that you couldn't almost
Mhm.
feel your lips. You were self poisoning, but it was still better than getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. We were building this cabin using hand tools. There was no electricity, no power to it, and it was a really good bonding experience. My uh, year after high school and before I started college, I went up there for a couple of weeks and got to do a lot of fishing with him and enjoy that. But you're right. I would think in the northern climates, they wouldn't have such bad mosquitoes, but I've,
No.
I've never been eaten alive more than my summer in Michigan.
Alan, do you guys have a lot, especially this time of year?
Um, Earlier in the summer we had mosquitoes come out, but the I know what you're saying about those northern climates because we have been up to Canada in June so many years that it's not the mosquitoes that'll get you up there, it's all the black flies
Yes.
Boy,
and my dad and I just got back from a fall Canadian fishing trip actually last week, and the the bugs actually were not bad at all. It was actually really nice not having
you,
to deal with any bugs.
you were up there catching northern pike, weren't you? Isn't that or walleye or what were you after up there?
walleye, we targeted pike. Pike weren't really on at the time of year. Just the deep water and stuff. So we did catch a lot of walleye, perch, and bass.
Nice.
That's always a good trip, dude. Me and my real good buddy Dave, we used to go for a week in Canada up around Toronto and camp on an island and catch bass and muskie and pike. And, that's just a whole different climate up there. And just such a wild experience for you and your dad to go on. I'm sure you guys had a really good trip. Same buddy from college I was talking about, Dave. He and I went up there bear hunting one year, and the black flies were coming through his face mask.
Yeah.
He had too big of holes in his face mask, and they bit the top of his head like you wouldn't believe. I thought he was going to have to go to the hospital. It swelled up his entire skull, and he had blood dripping down his face. And the guide took one look at him whenever we picked each other up after the end of the hunt that night, and he said, "Man, I've never seen the black flies, attack somebody so bad, but the holes were just a little bit too big in his face mask, and they were landing on his head and face, and he had it bad, but he didn't quit. He stuck it out all night, but man, he was miserable for a couple of days."
Yeah, and I've gotten those full body bug suits before, and they're actually really good. But you don't want any part of that netting touching real close to your face, because even they'll land on that netting, and if it's close to your face, they'll even get you through the.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. What I did was I wore a boonie hat and then put the netting over top, and then we also wore gloves and duct taped our wrist and our ankles.
Right.
And I never seen so many flies on a rifle. I was in a tree stand, and I probably had 1,000 black flies on my rifle at any given time. And I know a lot of guys go to Canada spring bear hunting, but they can tell you how bad the bugs are. But boy, until you experience it, that is something else up there.
Yeah. Man, good memories, man. Good memories. It makes it difficult now, being in the chair. I can't travel as independently as I once did. Uh, dude, I love those trips, getting back in the backcountry somewhere and being able to tent camp and uh, you know, do everything right on a fire. And man, we got to figure this out.
Well, Alan, we sure appreciate you coming on the podcast today and talking with Mike and I. And guys, do you want to wrap anything up? Was there something that Mike you wanted to say, or Alan, that we didn't cover? I know we kind of got a little off topic today and was telling old hunting stories, but that's what the podcast is about, sharing the
Absolutely.
experiences.
It's one of those things. I always appreciate you guys being able to come on and share, and just being able to talk to folks that's some with disability, some without, but be able to let them know that life goes on. We've got to find a way just to keep pushing forward. Alan's got me excited now talking about that fishing trip. We're gonna have to have him back on and be able to talk a little bit more about that. But Alan, man, thank you for all you do, for your encouragement, and I thank you for that all your family pours into it, that you're able just to keep on going, man. And thank you for the inspiration that you are.
You're welcome, and thank you guys. And it's been awesome being on here and talking to you guys. And just thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome, Alan, and we hope you and your mom and dad get some big bucks this year, and enjoy your hunting trip. And we'll stay in contact. You and I, text and call quite regularly. So I'll be looking for your text and pictures of the big buck you get on the ground.
Absolutely. And if I get one, I'll maybe even FaceTime you and let you see him in person.
I'd
There
love it,
you
man.
go.
I'd love it. All right, guys. Well, take care, and thank you for tuning into the Accessible Hunter podcast. We appreciate you, and good luck this season. And let us know what we can be doing better. And if you're successful, or you want to send us some pictures of your hunts and training sessions, please do. Take care, guys.